flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn. It's a new day, it's a new life for me, yeah. Turn on your mind now, tune into the feed. We're planting digital flowers from a single tiny seed. Yeah, power to the collective in the data. Soul, the hive mind's getting louder, finding voice and control.
And here we go.
Welcome to the freak show, the best in town.
What is going on, Hive? Sounds like YouTube is down right now. Saw that in the comments, which sucks because I have a great stream lined up for y'all, so hopefully you guys are able to get in here. I mean, this is unfortunate because it's happening at a time where there's so much going on in the world. Places like YouTube and other social media sites that crash like this in the prime hour of when people broadcast, which I know it's being used all day, but let's be honest. People get off work. This is the time when YouTube's output and other social media platforms' output is probably the highest. So if they're running some maintenance or scheduled maintenance, this would not make sense to do it during this hour. And I'm not really sure what to do right now because there's a lot of people that I'm seeing they still can't get in. Sharon says she's streaming on her TV, and that seems to be working. All right, Gabby girl can see me. Type a 1 if you're in here and you got the video working. All right, so there's a few people. Okay, that looks like there's a good amount of people then. All right. All right. I'm not going to lie. When I pressed go live, I was like, oh no, what did I do? What did I mess up? Thought it was something on my end, but nope. That is just not the case. All right. Well, let's give it a couple minutes. I'll just say what's up to everybody before kind of giving the full on intro. So for everybody that's in here, thank you for tuning in. It's kind of crazy what's happening, but Discord Dawn got in. What's up? Court said YouTube had an app update for the iPad today. Huh. Bang Bang's back now. Scout got it working. All right. So it seems like you need to refresh it. If there's people in the chat, all right. If you are in the chat and have no video, refresh it and it should work. So hopefully they can see it then. Oh man. Should we restart? Just kidding. Kind of kills the hype. Kind of kills the hype for the show when that happens. You know? People are saying yes, yes. Everyone's like, no, no. Yeah, no, we're good. Yeah, you missed Dancing Bob, all that stuff. Oh, man. Yeah. Well, we got almost 300 people in here already. So as you can see, what I have on the screen for this evening's theme, we got Santa's Dark Secrets, 3 simple questions for Bad Santa Bill Thompson, and can he answer them? It's almost like a game of truth or dare for Bill tonight. Now, when I say this, one of the things that I really wanted to make sure I do for this stream, because even when I was preparing the slides, I'm not going to lie. How should I say it? When I was making the slides, I thought this was going to be so much harder to do than what it was. But if you were in the stream last night, you saw Pavarotti popped into the chat and he had put out this kind of this request of like, hey, do we know any investigative journalists? And I was saying, and kind of in response to that, I'm willing to do whatever, I need to do to help, wake people up to this. It's bigger than Bryan Kohberger. This could be anybody. Taking it at face value, assuming he's not some sort of asset, yada, yada, yada. We all know that. We can go down those rabbit holes. But for tonight, I really wanted to make sure that what we do is call these 3 things out. I believe that I have figured out the 3 questions that nobody can deny when it comes to, I'm calling it kind of, Bryan Kohberger, the test of how can I say this? I'm all thrown off from the intro. It's like Bryan Kohberger's test of reasonable doubt. That's what these questions represent. Okay. So the 3 questions that I've come up with. Question 1, was he inside the house? Did Bryan Kohberger go inside 1122 King Road? Question 2, is the DNA exclusive? And question 3, do his actions prove intent? I believe these are 3 very simple questions. They should be able to be answered very easily. Actually, these almost seem like the first level of questions for if somebody's going to be in prison for the rest of their life and they actually committed these crimes. I don't know if you should not have the answers to this. So this is what I'm proposing. If you guys can, and I know you guys can because there's smart people in here. I get that. But I'm trying to think of people that are absolutely asleep. Okay. I wanted to go with question 1 of, was Bryan Kohberger inside the house? Okay. Because we start with that question so that if they say no, okay, well then, like, that's obviously like, whoa, they can't even put him inside the house. They can't prove that. Okay. Well, then what's the other thing they go to? Oh, they go to DNA. Well, where was the DNA found, guys? The DNA was found inside the house. So if they can't put him in the house, but then there's non-exclusive DNA inside that house, well, then you have to fall back onto, do his actions prove intent? Okay. And if it can be read 2 ways, guess what? Doubt survives in a juror's mind. It's very, very simple. And of course, we haven't even seen the sheath. You guys are right. I can see the comments flying by. We haven't even seen the damn sheath. So reasonable doubt is not a loophole. Okay, it's a guardrail. That's a guardrail, everybody. People get that confused. What do we think we know and what do we know? That is why it has to be beyond a reasonable doubt. So that's what I want to go with, or that's what I'm going to go with tonight. I think that these questions, and also too, I'm going to put these questions on screen. I would like to put out a request for anybody that is a content creator. I think one of the things that we could do is, could you imagine if there's like 50 people that go and answer these questions? Question 1, was he inside the house? Question 2, is the DNA exclusive? Question 3, do his actions prove intent? And there's like 50 people that do it in a different style. For me personally, I'm not a great video editor. I can't do like true crime design or like Truth and Neurons, or any of these other people that make really good visually appealing videos. That's not my forte. But if we had different kinds of these videos all answering these three questions, well, they can't put them in the house. Well, where was the DNA found? It was in the house. Well, how did the DNA get there? We don't know. Okay, so then whose DNA is it? Is it exclusive? Well, we don't know. Okay, so then do Bryan Kohberger's actions prove intent? Oh, he's walking into Costco getting a goddamn cup of coffee. You know what I'm saying? And I think that could be something that we do until we get somebody with a giant set and a pair of cojones on them to look into this that's got a massive platform. I have another slide prepared for this evening that I saw on X. George Webb has officially started to dive into this. He put it out on X. He's got over 150,000 followers, and he's talking about Mowich and the autopsy. Okay. This is how these organic movements start, with the right intentions, with people putting in the work. I would challenge everybody to do those three questions. Why? Because I'm going to give you all my answers. My answers. If everybody could do their own research on this, guys, you could drown in the reasonable doubt. And plus, I think it makes it more powerful because I know that somebody's going to take that and knock it out of the damn park. Better than I could do it. And I'm okay with saying that. You know what I mean? I'm not that good at the videos and all the editing software, but there's people that are elite that can make some waves with this. So I'm not sure if that, and I would encourage people in here, if you're not a creator, if you could maybe let people know about these three questions. I should put out a post about this as well and kind of maybe challenge people that way. Because these are very easy questions to answer. These can all be answered with public information. These can all be answered with information that we have as of today. So Bang Bang says it's bigger than BK, but 98% of live streams are about BK. Yeah, well, if you've tuned in for more than any of them, if you've tuned in for like more than one of them, Bang Bang, you'd realize we talk about IgG and Othram. You realize that we talk about the overstep on American rights when people can emotionally palate, when they're fearful, and when they have this monster put in their face. We talk about narrative versus evidence. We've talked about Epstein. We've talked about a whole plethora of things. Bang Bang. So here, Bang Bang, I'll give you one. I'll give you a Bang Bang. So it's just one of those things, Bang Bang. So, all right. Don't come into the hive and try that stupid shit. You got to understand, we are battle hardened in here. You think we give a shit about some stupid comment like that? We literally, yeah, it is way bigger than Bryan Kohberger. If he's used as the vehicle for it, then fine. But dude, good luck trying to get some stupid comment like that to rattle people. Do you realize the shit that has been said about this case? How psychotically arrogant people have gotten about this case? Yeah, we don't give a damn anymore. Like, we've made our bed. We're going all in on this. And like we said, Bryan Kohberger, if he doesn't appeal, he doesn't appeal. Fine. Then let us bring to the attention what shitty investigations look like. What people who maybe get paid and bought off to not say something. So I'm not rattled, Kevin. I'm not rattled, you loser. Is that what you're saying, Kevin? I'm just done playing nice. If you guys think that I give a shit about anything other than trying to spread the word on, hey, this should concern everybody, was the guy who just got put into prison for life, can they confirm he was in the house they said he was? No. Okay, is the DNA that they found at the crime scene exclusive to him? No. Okay, well, do his actions prove intent? No. And believe it or not, there's how many people studying criminology in the United States and around the world as we speak? So that's kind of, you know what? I thought the energy was a little bit down when the intro was cut out because YouTube's going through some updates, but now it's right back. You guys feel that? You guys feel that? What's that movie where Will Ferrell's like, I feel it in my plums. Oh, God. Who cares? Who cares? So let's go ahead and let's start diving into these three questions. And before we do, guys, I know there was a little bit of a delay on the start of the live. So since we're a little bit behind, why doesn't everybody just stop and take a second, please? I'll pause so you guys can go and press that like button. We only got 30 with that delayed start. Let's try to pump this thing back into the algorithm, because this is going to be one of those streams that should prove beyond a reasonable doubt that they don't have anything but reasonable doubt. So let's go ahead and get those numbers up. I say that just because, again, it makes me feel uncomfortable to ask, but I know the way of the algorithm, and we need to spread this far and wide and grow the hive and find other people that are like-minded like us, that are looking for a place where they can come in here and they can speak their mind. And just because you can come in here and speak your mind doesn't mean that people can't respond to you. That's another wild thing on the internet people just don't understand. You know what I mean? People just don't understand that if you can say something, people have the right to respond. And all right. So thank you guys for all taking a second there and hitting that like. Jumped up a little bit, but I want to say what's up to everybody here. Sherlock Romes, what up? What's up, Lisa? Robin says, if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. Sassafras, what up? Scott Metalhead. Beck says it doesn't mean to be an ass pipe. How you doing, Allie? Allison. Sorry, some people don't like when you shorten their name. Thank you, JJ. I appreciate that. And Bang Bang, you said, I find it funny. I say something that people don't like, and the shit talk commences from everyone. It is what it is. Well, you started talking shit. You're the one that said the comment. That's like, again, what do you expect? Do you realize that these are all real people behind those usernames? Maybe some of them are. We have a couple questionable if these people are actually real behind their usernames. But yeah, I mean, what are you going to say? It says, oh, it's not all about BK, but 98% of the streams are about BK. So then clearly you haven't tuned in. And also, you commenced it. We didn't commence talking shit. And just like you can say anything in here, so can everybody else. And so can I. Thank you, Heather. I appreciate that. What up, Carrie? Brooke, good to see you. Kim, UFO dog. Miss Maggie, you were the first like early this afternoon. Nice. What's up, 1111? Bag of Richards. Terry, how are you doing? Wolfpack. Down the rabbit hole, good to see you. Ray, you finally caught us live. We're happy to have you here. Is this anybody's first time tuning in? Type of 1 if it is. Welcome. It's a contrarian thinking live stream where we are not afraid to think past the headlines. So if you're easily rattled or offended on behalf of others, it's not going to be the stream for you. Squirrel nest. What's up, Adrian, Gabby, Sandra? Woke up 1984. Bianca, Ray, Leanna. Glad you made it. Fiona's tuning in from Scotland. Rayanne, 1-1 says it's stogie time. Christina Young says they've ruined our right to privacy enough. This verdict will change the judicial system in so many ways. They'll just start putting us all in prison. Well said. What's up, Beck Stats? Brandon, how are you doing? Jojo D. Not as dumb as you look. It's called if you can dish it out, you can take it. Justice thought you were hacked. It's just the update. We got a New Zealand Luna. Good to see you, Core. Thank you, Red Man. I appreciate that. What up, Ryan? Lakin? Kuda? That's right. Genuinely confused. We were just mildly disturbed not being able to watch. What's up, Tracy? UFO dog's not real. LA Mike, main girl, Amanda B from West Virginia says, I'm real. Beep boop pop, says Jiffy. Goyam's tuning in from Norway. Good to see you. Oh, Z is for Lindsay. I did not know that. Jeremy Pearson says 69% of UFO dogs real. God damn. Am I ever going to hold this top dog up to the camera the right direction the first time? And thank you, M. Cody, for subscribing. Appreciate that. Just so you guys know, too, if you do want to put a comment up on the screen that reads out in an AI voice, which I did change it from the weirdo AI voice. Now we have a much, much better female voice that will read, and it's tuned. So that link is in the description of the live, or Luna just posted it as well. So that's how you guys do that. If you guys are wondering, super chats will pop up as well. But I saw some people asking how that worked. So, okay, let's get into it. Let's get into it, shall we? So here's what I want to talk about. Was Bryan Kohberger inside the house? Is the DNA exclusive to Bryan Kohberger? And does Bryan Kohberger have the intent to commit these murders? So let's all answer. If you're caught up live right now, just type out yes or type out no. Was Bryan Kohberger, can you prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Bryan Kohberger was inside 1122 King Road on the night of the murders? Yes or no? Let's just see this. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a no from me, dog. That's a no from me. Who said that on American Idol?
Just wanted to hear the new voice, rolling on the floor laughing emoji, free BK.
Hey, thank you, Wolfpack. Much, much nicer. I saw somebody had said, can we switch it to, a sexy voice, a female voice? And I was like, you're right. I feel like that kind of matches the Hive. You already got, me barking into the mic. We don't need some AI barking at you. Let's kind of soften it up a little bit. Oh, yeah, and it was Randy Jackson that said that. I think that sounds much better. It's a little bit softer, not as interruptive when it happens. Yeah, Randy Jackson, dog. And thank you, Wolfpack, for that. I appreciate the test. What's Gucci Phoenix? Randy Jackson. Yeah, it's much more user friendly. I agree. Okay, so I didn't see one yes, other than Tracy W said soft yes. Okay. I don't know what that means. But unless that was to the voice. It might have been to the voice. Yeah, the voice's name, as Lisa Stewart says, is Big Old Titties. And that's named in honor of Devil's Advocates. So when he gets back in a couple Mondays, we'll for sure have to let him know that he inspired the voice. Yeah, I figured Tracy. Yeah. Jared, wait, that would be if I could find an overlay for questions like this where we just see what the magic conch says. The magic conch says no, or like an 8-ball that you could shake. That would be hilarious. All right. So honestly, Can you put Bryan Kohberger in the house at night? What would be some ways that you could argue it? But actually, no. Actually, no. These are the simple questions. This is what we're doing tonight. And like I said, I put out a request. I want to see what other people's answers are. Can you put Bryan Kohberger in the house? Was his DNA exclusive? And did he have the intent? Okay, so let's start with question 1, which is, was Bryan Kohberger inside the house? And what better way than to answer that question with the guy who's trying to send him to prison for the rest of his life? Like, why don't we just watch this video?
Idaho, for the purpose of pursuing a PhD in criminal justice at Washington State University. The state's evidence would indicate that beginning July 9th of 2022, Mr. Kohberger's phone began connecting to a cell tower that serves the area of the 1122 King Road residence in Moscow, Idaho. I will acknowledge there are many residents. It's a dense population, most college-related occupants. Between July 9th of 2020.
There's an echo. All right, let me refresh it. That could just be...
July 9th of 2022 and
2022, again in Latah County, Idaho. Did you kill and murder Ethan Chapin?
now I will acknowledge Fort North present. There are many residents in that area. It's a dense population, most college-related occupants.
Wait, why
Between
is there an echo?
July Ninth of 2022 and November 7th, the defendant's phone connected to that particular tower during late night, early morning hours, 10 p.m. to 4 a.m.
You gotta be fucking kidding me. Sorry, Hive. What in God's name, dude? Why? Oh, hang on. Check that out. Make sure your mic input is actual microphone. I don't understand this.
or with residents of 1122, but we can't put his phone in that area on those times. In the interim, on August 22nd, 2022.
All right. You guys know what this video says. What a joke. Is it all of them? Bear with me.
Well, I think Darren and I have the evidence suggests that there was a reason that this particular house was chosen. What that reason is, we don't know. We don't know who the target was. We're not going to speculate on that.
All right, a little bit of technical difficulties because this is just bothersome. All right. Maybe this fixes it.
Lake County Sheriff's Deputy Darren Duke conducted traffic stop.
Mike's not picking up.
In the early morning hour or late evening hours, about 11 p.m. On the west side of Moscow, on Moscow Road. This is a traffic stop with Ms. Kohberger's car.
All right, give me 2 seconds, Hive. This is important. Okay, hopefully that fixed it. I'm back. And if it's not, then that's fine. We can talk through it. And that echo was from my phone there. So let's see.
Which turned out to be a 2015 white Hyundai Elantra with Pennsylvania plates. During the course traffic stop.
I have no idea what's going on right now.
Deputy Duke was able to obtain Mr. Kohberger's name, Bryan Kohberger. His phone number and his address, which at that point was an address in Pullman. We then moved to the early morning hours of November 13, 2022. The state's evidence would
I don't know if it's me or if it's YouTube, but anyways, I haven't touched any of the settings. Usually that works. That's really frustrating, but the show must go on. This entire stream from the start with the YouTube not allowing people in is really just, it's been a emotional, or not emotional. It's just been it's been a roller coaster. But anyways, if you go listen to the sentencing, Bill Thompson says, now I will acknowledge that there were a lot of people in that area and that there was, it's a heavily dense, it's very densely full of residents. So now they can't also say that they can't directly connect him to 1122 is what he goes on to say, which I find is just very interesting. Okay, so I feel like it'd be rather easy to reconstruct the night of the unalivings minute by minute using cell tower data, any camera sightings of the white Elantra, and any reported timeline from the police affidavit. Oh, well, we did. And we've picked it apart. And then now you have the prosecutor saying, yeah, they can't put them directly in 1122. Okay. So that to me says this, can it be proven with verifiable, unmanipulated, and independently corroborated data? Was Bryan Kohberger inside 1122 King Road during the exact windows of the murders? Because if you remove the subjective DNA interpretations, cell phone tower appropriations, or approximations, any timeline assumptions, any hard forensic proof that his body was there, and without that, you don't have a case. Okay? It's not that difficult. That's another confusing aspect of this. Shouldn't they have to prove that he was in the house? And without that, okay. How do you murder 4 people if you've never gone in the house during that window? Who cares if he's gone there in the past to buy drugs or do anything else? Can you see Bryan Kohberger in a car that pulls up? Can you see a license plate on a car that pulls up? Can you see Bryan Kohberger walk into the house? Can you see Bryan Kohberger in the house? Has Bryan Kohberger ever said he's been in that house? Has any of the girls ever said that he's been in that house? Has there been any witnesses or people that have spoken out that have said Bryan Kohberger's been in that house? And I guarantee you that he hasn't, because if he would have, it would have been all over Dateline, MSNBC, Amazon. It would have been all over all of them. Okay? So if he's not in the house, then how does a knife sheath that we've never seen get in the house with his DNA on it? And that opens up an entire reasonable doubt rabbit hole. That's what I don't understand. It's such a simple question. And we've almost been making it a little bit too difficult. But can you put Bryan Kohberger in the house? Is that his car? Like, can you undoubtedly say that's his car? And if he's not physically there, well, then you don't have a case. Yeah, and Christina Young just said, and where did that go? Shoot, it flew by. But Dylan apparently said, who's that? Now, the next one, yeah, I think it's YouTube because none of the videos are really loading that quick. The next one, I have a video from Pavarotti from 2 days ago. So Jay and Bree had broken down like the cigarette butt and the other alt perp stuff. But can you say, without a doubt, and can the prosecution demonstrate that only Bryan Kohberger could have produced the DNA profile on that knife sheath with full chain of custody transparency, making sure there's no contamination or alt source possibly being the DNA? That's because the DNA at the end of the day is the linchpin. That's the only thing that they can fall back on. Okay. It's powerful, but it's only powerful with chain of custody, with making sure there's no contamination. If touch DNA was partial, or if there were multiple handlers, genetic evidence doesn't prove exclusive guilt in any way, shape, or form. Beyond reasonable doubt would collapse without any exclusivity. And doesn't this seem simple talking about? Doesn't this seem like you could absolutely well, and I don't disagree. You can say the totality of stuff. They could use circumstantial evidence, but also circumstantial, when you start to break it down with, did you see him in the car? Is there a license plate? Has he, so you say he frequented there in the past, but there's how many other residences? Did he have a connection to the victims? Did his cell phone actually ping in that house? How close can you put him within the house? How many houses are within that radius then? You know what I mean? Like, regardless, I'm not trying to sit here and necessarily go as in depth. I'm trying to talk about these 3 questions again. I think these 3 questions will be simple enough for everybody to dive into. And then if you actually do dive into it, you'd realize there's so much reasonable doubt. And I don't disagree, Jeremy. Exactly why they were scared to go to trial. They had nothing to actually convict on. The huge question, why the hell did he take the plea? Well, that's where you got to put on your tinfoil hat, everybody, in my opinion. So That would be the second video, and I can go through these again tomorrow. Hopefully YouTube's back up and running. And then the third one, which is, did Bryan Kohberger have the intent? Right? I mean, how many times have we said that we don't know the motive? People can't even guess on what the motive is other than he's a wannabe serial killer. Are you kidding me? Is that really that strong of a narrative? Like, has anybody actually thought about how simple-minded that is? That because a guy studied criminology, which his literal schooling would make him look into how criminals think, that's what they said he did it for. I mean, it's so simple. It's so simple that it's like, I don't know. And I'm not even too worried right now in this stream. I'm not too worried about who did it. Okay? I'm just trying to show that, like, there is a reasonable doubt, beyond a reasonable doubt, that Bryan Kohberger did this. And I'll try this video again. I doubt it's going to not echo.
Up here today, but we can't tell you that for whatever reason Mr. Kohberger chose that residence. Perhaps it's the location, layout, we don't know. But that's to the best of my knowledge, that's what that.
No luck. No luck. That's unfortunate. What should my... All right. No, I already tried to restart. I don't know. One second. Okay, if this doesn't work, I'm giving up on videos for the rest of the night. But
That statement likely led to.
well, that sucks. All right. Well, sorry about that, guys. I don't know what the hell's going on. What a night. Yeah, everyone's seen it. They said they don't have any connection. They can't do it. I know everybody's seen it. But again, and it's not my mic that I need to mute or anything. It's I have no idea. This is hardwired in a way that it's not going to echo anymore because I got this software. But with everything going on with YouTube, I guess we'll just chalk it up to that. Yeah, it may rebalance. You know what? F it. Let's put up with it for a second. because I need these to keep the flow of what I'm trying to say. There's a couple talking points.
Right. There was no connection. There wasn't at all. We looked at every bit of it. We took a deep dive into it. We researched it. It was not. It was not. Thank you. Cut that off.
Is it possible that this is exactly what was used, not just the knife?
Is it possible? All the evidence shows and tells us that he used a knife, a Kohberger knife, and that's a weapon we believe was used to commit all the murders.
Here.
Isn't it like the results there said there was a second weapon that was used to kill the dog?
Out of respect for the families, that's something that you'll have to get from them. If they wish to share that with you, it'd probably be through them, not through us.
One more question. You said that it seemed like he chose that house. There's no clues as to why he chose that house?
You know, after working in Moscow for...
Yeah, I mean, I had my mic muted too, and it was still doing it. So, wait, was that good now? I thought it was echoing.
For several years as Chief Dollinger. That area is frequented by many people at all hours of the night when college is in session. So what Darren and I have surmised is that perhaps it's the old hiding in plain sight. There's lots of people around. There's lots of vehicles around at all hours. It's not isolated where you'd be noticed. So that's where that comment comes from.
It does, and no, it doesn't make sense. And it's if you were in that neighborhood at all, it's a very complicated neighborhood. It's very closed in. But at the same time, there's everything from college kids to adults that live there, people that have full-time jobs, part-time jobs. So any one of us could come and go and fit in there. So,
right here. D.A. Thompson, during the plea hearing and then again today, it seemed like your voice quivered a bit when you were either putting up the photographs or mentioning the victims' names, and just wondering about the emotional toll. And I have one other question.
Yeah, you're right. My voice was quivering. Y'all were in there. There's a lot of powerful emotion. The losses are almost indescribable. And maybe my filters aren't as
Yes, they are, Moto Man. I couldn't agree more.
good as they might have been 45 years ago when I started in this business.
1 second here.
Something is going on today communication-wise. Phone lines for the commercial insurance company I use was down. West Coast, I'm East Coast. Multiple error messages from you too.
Well, thank you for the update, Blue Eyed Candy, and thank you, Moto Man and Blue Eyed Candy, for the super chats. I just, as you know, I can't stand when the stream doesn't go smoothly, because you put in, I put in a lot of effort to these slides, and when you rely on the video to prove the point, to really hammer it home, it just kind of sucks. So I'm trying to fix it, and for the time being, I'm just going to let this video continue to play, and I'm going to mess around with it for 2 minutes. But regardless, this interview is very telling, and it should get, people into the right mindset again about, his voice was quivering. He was this. Why is he so nervous? I thought this was the most airtight case of all time.
But I think you also saw that even Judge Hippler was affected and impacted by this. There is no easy way to remain stiff-lipped and dry-eyed through this kind of tragedy. There just simply isn't.
I'm sure you're not aware of this yet, but there was a photograph where they zoomed in on a picture that Bryan Kohberger had on the defense counsel table, and it was an image of a black heart. I don't know if you've heard this or if you've seen the image. Hearing this, your thoughts?
First, I've heard of it. first I've heard of it. There is something I need to say, though, real quick. This is the product of, I'm sure I'm getting old in my failed memory, but there's one other person I need to recognize, and this is very important to us because this was a key person that was going to take us through trial, and that's Josh Hurwitz, the former United States Attorney for the District of Idaho who left office and voluntarily joined our office as a special deputy to help us. My apologies for the oversight as I wasn't reading my notes correctly, but thank you for that little interlude. Chief? Yes.
I guess my question is for Mr. Thompson, since you're still up there, incidentally, he was on crime. You said that, it was your decision to accept this plea agreement. It brings finality, people die in prison, but Corporal Payne just said they don't know who the target was and why he targeted this house. Was there a reason why, as part of the agreement, you didn't require the other compliance downfall as the answers to these questions?
I think Judge Hippler addressed that day very, very well. Of course, Judge Hippler addresses everything very well, we've found. The law does not give the court or us the power to require a specific factual allocution. And just let me finish. And we recognize that. We recognize that we could have said, well, in order for us to move forward, we want a factual allocution. But I have to be perfectly candid. I don't believe that there's anything that would come out of his mouth that would be the truth. I don't believe that there's anything that would come out of his mouth that would be anything other than self-serving. And I don't believe there's anything that would come out of his mouth that would not further victimize the families. And so that just simply wasn't a factor. We made our decision based on our assessment of law and the facts. We made our decision based on being able to obtain accountability and certainty, not just for the victims' families, but for the communities and for the state. And that's where our obligations go. And in the end, and the old Harry Truman thing, the buck stops on my desk. Well, that's what I got when I was elected prosecutor 33 years ago. I never dreamed it would involve something like this, but we don't shirk our responsibilities just because it got big and nasty.
Thank you. Corporal Payne and Lieutenant Robertson, first of all, I want to say to you, Corporal Payne, that the chief and family told me that you called them every night during that nearly 7-week manhunt, even though you didn't have to. And I just think that goes to show.
Okay, so can I do something here? Can I actually go through now this in a coherent manner without having to stop for this damn echo? Are you guys okay if I do that? Because I think that it's important to lay it out in this order for these 3 questions. And I'm probably going to end up just going and, clipping this video for tomorrow's quick cut of this. So, all right. Thank you. Because I know there's no echo now. I don't know what happened with that. All I really had to do was just mute and unmute something and then it reset. But that's what we're going to do. So thank you, Blue Eyed Candy, for the super sticker. Appreciate that. Big time. So all right, you guys get my point. Was he in the house? We can't tell. We're going to go watch this video right now. They can't confirm beyond a reasonable doubt. If you start this clip at 16:20, this is exactly what you could play when you ask that question. You're going to listen to the prosecutor. He doesn't even have the defense doesn't even have to say anything. They can just play this interview. Now, is there no sound? Dude, I don't know what's going on. This is not anything on my end because the tabs aren't even switching over on my computer. Damn. All right, well, let's do something else then, Hive. We got some time left. Let's just restart the stream. What a nightmare. Here I am trying to just, say these are 3 questions that anybody can answer. It's super simple. And then YouTube has to go and do all this stuff because and so I'm sorry, everybody. I feel awful about that. I promise you, I was not clicking around on my end trying to F stuff up. It took me forever to get it dialed in, so I'm not touching anything on my side. And I know you guys have seen it, so let's just chat. Throw in a fresh Zin. It's not worth stressing. You know what I mean? Life's too short and too good to stress over stupid shit like that. I was starting to get all riled up, too, with that person, Bang Bang or whoever earlier. I was starting to get into the zone. I was ready to have them answer these 3 questions with Bad Santa. But anyways, I appreciate it. So let's just have like an open mic night. Let's have an open mic night, kind of hypothetically. What should we talk about? Any topics? I was telling Mrs. Birdie before the stream, I go, I think this is going to be this is going to be one of the best streams that we've done in a while because there's going to be great conversation around these 3 things that are very obviously no. Crown says your 2-year-old just said gang gang. All right. Nobody's NBA says, dude, I don't mean to be the dead horse, but how could we go about learning more about Amanda Kohberger? Because she is super sus to me. I've heard a lot of people say that she is super sus. I don't know too much about his sister either. Does anybody have? Like, is that just a narrative talking point around, Bryan Kohberger's sister and the whole witness list? I mean, there's 180 something people on it. Was it Amanda Kohberger's DNA? I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question too. What exactly makes her so sus in general? Yeah, we should absolutely. And what I'm gonna do is take those questions from tonight, and I'll, hopefully YouTube tomorrow is back up and running, and I'm gonna make a post about them as well because I think that it would be really cool to have a bunch of people start answering those 3 questions from what they find. Did we ever deep dive Hunter and Maisie Chapin? They were at the scene pretty early. Yes. That's what it sounds like. That is what it sounds like. And also, just so you guys know, too, the voice chat will pop up, or the thing will pop up for anything over $2, but it won't start the voice until 5. Just as an FYI. Redman says, why is there no daylight camera footage of cars or activity that morning? Are they hiding it? They say BK went back at 9 a.m., but not day footage. Absolutely. I don't know. I have no idea why. I have no idea why anything is the way that it is with the footage. And I think Hunter and Maisie Chapin, that it's very, here's what I'll say about that. I don't know how you could go back to school. I don't know how you could go back to school. That's just like if you were friends with them, do you guys think that, God, see this, I'm not afraid to do this. I just don't know if it's important. Do you know what I mean? Because I'll say it. I'll say whatever I want about it, but it's like, I just don't know that if my sibling that I was triplets with was killed a couple houses down from where I was living and going to school at. If I could go there. And then when I got back just a couple weeks later after break, that I was like, you know, according to Miss Chapin, they were celebrating, they were cheering, they were excited to have them back and just go back to normal. I'm like, dude, what? Like, to me, it just doesn't seem. I also don't know if I would see other people like cheering and celebrating that they're back. I feel like it would be like consoling and comforting them. Happy Hound says that, says, oh, 1 second. That is such a cryptic statement, Core. Why did he not have to go upstairs? Does anybody have a good reason as to why they would say that? I paid that bill. What if, well, let's just see. All right. This is it. This is just, again, the way that my brain works. I don't know if this will be worth doing or not, but let's go back to 2022. All right. So thinking outside the box, right? And he didn't have to go upstairs. I'd be curious if could it mean anything else? And yeah, it's not a bad thought, Moto Man. Who was he, and how did you know it was a he that he went up the stairs? I mean, that entire interview sounds like they already know who did it. But, you know, one of the things that I've thought about is like, he didn't have to go upstairs. I'm trying to think, like, is there other stairs that they could be referring to that we said we're going to try to forget everything we know about the case? Could that be anything else other than, you know, people are saying, oh, it might have happened outside. You know what I mean? It's just a question. I don't know. You know, I'm assuming that when he says he didn't have to go up the stairs, that has to be about the house. But what if it wasn't? Let's try to use our brain power here as the Hive. Just to think through as a thought exercise. He didn't have to go up the stairs. If they're not talking about the house, are there any other stairs they could be talking about? And like, where was that picture taken? Like the infamous picture that was taken of them, right? Wasn't it in these apartments right here? So there's stairs there. Like, I'm trying to think, like, did somebody sketchy, live down on a different floor and they were partying at this in these apartments, and something sketchy happened and they walked up the stairs to the party? You know what I mean? The exact quote was like, he didn't have to go up the stairs, or he didn't have to go up the steps. Which, isn't there steps also right here? I don't know. Now my brain is racing. Let's see what some of you guys are saying. Yeah, and blood was found at the Whites. Makes you think for sure. Z says Steve makes that statement as if he knows. That's what I'm saying. It's like there was a ladder that everybody seems to, pick up on, that the cops aren't, concerned about at all. You didn't have to go up the steps. we could be looking for clues into oblivion, but like, what are some alternate meanings for when someone says he didn't have to go up the steps? You make a good point, Moto Man. There were rumors on Reddit and 4chan that nobody seemed to really look into. They just immediately chalked them up to online internet conspiracy theories, although it had all of the victims' names. There was drama, there was motive, there was weapons, there was cars, there was times. There was way more on those Reddit rumors and those 4chan rumors than anything that we've heard from the prosecution. And did he say, real quick before I type this into the chat GPT, did he say you didn't have to go up the stairs, or you didn't have to go up the steps? I want to be specific. And obviously we don't have the audio from YouTube right now, so that's true too. Jeremy says all rumors were that it was streamed, and then silence. He doesn't have to go up those steps. Okay. He doesn't have to go up those. Wait, is it stairs or steps? Okay. He doesn't have to go up those stairs. Dude. Are you guys thinking what I'm thinking when you're reading that? It means someone doesn't need to climb the social, moral, or professional stairs like others do. He's already at the top. He bypasses the normal path. It can carry admiration like he's on another level, or resentment he didn't earn it. He doesn't have to go those steps. I paid that bill, so I could speak on that. Dude, it seems like he's talking in complete code. That whole interview, Steve G's talking through the screen. Yeah, right, Discord Dawn? I mean, who knows? It just certainly sounds like yes. And so like a shot caller that didn't have to make his point by killing anyone. Exactly. And he also mentions alpha. It makes a lot of sense. It's a play on words, euphemism. That interview was strange. We've replayed it several times just for your own thoughts, Happy Hound says, or just for their own thoughts. Right? Inside Your Bones says he's upset because they lied to him and told him something else, like maybe Kaylee was alive and would be released. He didn't have to go up those steps to get what he wanted. That's why everyone is silent, Discord Dawn says. Yeah, again, I'm not disagreeing with that either, Blue Eyed Candy. Thank you for the super chat. It could mean somewhere else for access, but with the rest of that interview seeming very, very cryptic. Man. I've played that so many times.
Good evening, America, and welcome to this special edition of Cross Country in Moscow, Idaho. Tonight, we are in front of the Moscow Police Department, and you may be asking why. It's been about 3 weeks since the horrific stabbing death of 4 college students at the University of Idaho. 3 weeks since we lost Zaina, Maddie, Kaylee, and Ethan. 3 weeks, and still the police have no suspect or person of interest. The community has been left in limbo, left with more confusion and more questions. We are on the hunt for answers for them. Moscow deserves answers. The students of the university deserve answers. These 4 young, innocent victims deserve answers, and so do their families. So let's start there. Joining me now on set, the parents of Kaylee Gonzalez, Christy and Steve Gonzalez. Thank y'all so much for being with me. You guys have been so transparent and strong for the public. Christy, you called the person that did this the boogeyman.
Yeah.
What did you mean by that?
It's literally like what nightmares are made of. Like when you're a little kid and you think of the boogeyman, that's just how I feel. Like that's just the horrific details of everything. Them just having a good time, going home and going to bed, and that's happening to them.
Your best friend crawling into bed.
Just crawling in bed.
Every
and
girl
the
in
boogeyman
America
comes.
knows what that's
The
like.
boogeyman doesn't, meet you at McDonald's. I mean, the boogeyman comes and snatches you out of your bedroom.
Steve, we've been talking. I've been talking to folks in the community. You said something that stuck with me. You said, until this person is caught, you can't sleep in your bed.
No. I can't just lay in my bed and do nothing. That's not the way I raised my family. That's not the way I raised my girls and my son. You don't be a victim. You stand up for yourself and you do everything in your power to make sure people hear you. And they're gonna hear Kaylee. They're gonna hear Maddie. They're gonna hear these.
The other two as well.
Yes.
All of them.
I'm careful saying anything about them because I need to be careful because I can't speak on somebody.
Oh man, what a night. What a night.
Everybody, accountable, and we keep eyes and attention on this and get this thing resolved.
Steve, you have made it very clear to our audience that you are supportive of law enforcement. You support the investigation. But recently, I've been watching and talking with you, and you're getting frustrated. Where does that frustration come from, sir?
They put certain people between you and the officers that are making things happen, and those people are like lawyers, and they don't want to say anything, and they don't have the guts to come up and be alpha and be like leaders and say, hey, we might say something that's wrong. We're going to take that hit. So the officers, they look me straight in their eyes. The lead detective looked me in his eyes. I have no doubt he's working as hard as he can, but somebody isn't communicating. There's nothing being released. It seems like they're trying to suppress the story. We want to put rewards out there, like, don't do that. Yeah, I get it. Your town doesn't want to have reward posters posted all over when you come and you do your rush. You're not going to get a lot of students if they see those things. But this community is not going to heal until this guy's pulled off the streets. It ain't going to happen. Think it through. It's not going to happen. He has to be off the streets. We all are working for the same thing.
When was the last?
The think it through. We all are working for the same thing. He has to be off the streets, guys. Bryan Kohberger hasn't even been arrested yet. They don't know that it's Bryan Kohberger. Apparently, the only person that may have known that it's Bryan Kohberger at this point is because of the, again, 1 in a billion chance coincidences that the Middlemans were at a some sort of conference for JonBenet Ramsey, and the Chapins were there, and she came up and tapped her on the shoulder and said, we have him. And it was within 5 days. But yet the G's don't even say, the Chapins say anything about the other 2 victims. They just go, oh, and the other 2.
Last time y'all heard from the police.
But maybe they did know about the IGG because they say we need like some family lineage company. So maybe they did already know. This makes me feel like they had DNA already before this, because maybe they just planted the narrative seed. I wish some, family lineage company just start taking swabs. So who knows?
Thursday,
we looked at our phone records. We want to be accurate. We don't want to sell anyone out.
about 3 o'clock on Thursday.
And did y'all get an update from the police about the investigation?
There was nothing. We have no updates for you.
There was no update. They needed me to sign a waiver form so that they could investigate something.
Some mail. That
was mail related. So we're working with them. We're not selling them out. We love our law support.
The FBI, everybody that's here. We just have no information as family, and it gets tough day after day after day. I mean, every day you just wake up and think today's the day. We're going to hear something, and you see these, there's a break in the case, and it'll just be something stupid.
The sixth person on the lease that was never there. Stop playing games. This is serious. These are people's lives, and this is the future of this community. There's going to be 10,000, 15,000 kids that come into this community next year, or they don't. So be serious.
I had the opportunity to speak to some of my sources, and I've been told that there were differences in the way that the victims were killed. Some were more severe than the other. And this week we heard the target attack walk back and then reverse it back to it being a target attack. What can you tell us about the targeted attack?
They have told us that it was targeted, but they told us they can't tell who. We asked specifically, and they said, we'll try to get that information to you. And they got back to us a day or so later, and they said, we're sorry, we can't give you that information. But then a day later, we saw in the news that it was not targeted, or they think the whole house was targeted. But
I'll cut to the chase.
Yeah.
Their means of death don't match.
Maddie's
They don't.
and Kaylee's cause of death, it does not match based on the autopsy report.
They don't match.
Would indicate that one of them.
He doesn't have to
may
go
been
up the
the target.
steps. Let's stop playing games, guys. I need somebody to step up and be an alpha. Be somebody to be a leader. Don't make me do it. I don't want to do it. He doesn't have to go up the steps. Their points of damage don't match. I'm just gonna say it. It wasn't leaked to me. I earned that. I paid for that funeral. I paid for that. It's my right. You ain't taking that from me.
Calm down.
If you don't want to say nothing, that's your bet. But don't say I'm leaking anything. I paid that bill. Sent my daughter to college to get an education. She came back in the box, and I can speak on that.
I was also told from sources that are closer to an investigation, because there was a lot of roommates in there. And this was horrific.
I don't disagree at all, Blue Eyed Candy. So I think he absolutely, I don't think he's just hinting or accusing. I think he's talking through the screen to them. So as this has been playing, I just wanted to share this with you guys. It goes right on with Blue Eyed Candy. And okay, this is pretty crazy. So you know, if we're going to go in the sense of like a drug related hit, right? And right, he doesn't have to go up the stairs. And I said, you know, so I'm saying that they refer to the boogeyman not needing to go up the steps, and the other person is saying, you know, someone step up, etc. Because I typed in the whole alpha thing up there, right? So I typed that in, and not trying to be a glory hound. So he doesn't have to go up the stairs. If we take stairs as being, you know, symbolic or a hierarchy, a rank, some sort of initiation, it could mean he's already at the top. Okay. So there's no more need to climb and do these hits. He's somebody who is past the levels of proving theirself. The boogeyman, that nickname obviously implies fear. He's the one who comes when you call for help and realizes it's too late. But in criminal code or criminal slang, it can refer to a fixer or an enforcer, meaning the guy who handles the problems off the books. Someone step up, someone be alpha, meaning that's a challenge or an invitation for someone else to show dominance, knowing most won't. In the presence of the boogeyman, the phrase almost mocks the idea no one can step up to him. Not trying to be a glory hound. It says, you know, you don't need public validation. I paid that bill. I can speak on that. See, this is trippy. This last line saying that could mean I was there when it went down. I know the cost. You know, that's just so wild, dude. Oh my God. I paid that bill. I can speak on that. As an interpretation, it could say, I was there when it went down. I know the cost. I mean, again, just this is ChatGPT. We're very open about that, but yeah, what Laura just said sounds like the person he's calling out is already at the top of the chain. He doesn't have to go up the chain to anyone else. He can give them all answers if they wanted to act like an alpha. Absolutely. Yeah. You know, I understand this. So Elizabeth, one of the things I just want to point out, like you're saying he means the loss of his daughter. I know. We're trying to think through like what else could it mean? It just seems cryptic. So don't get me wrong. We are all very aware of that. Like that's very on its face, right? But if it was cryptic because he's saying things that don't seem very like, you know, I paid that bill. Like that's just a weird way to say, you know, like I could talk about this. I've lost my daughter. I'm her father. There just seems other ways to say that. He kind of gets like that tone and that, you know, kind of puffing his chest out, kind of intimidating energy to him rather. So if it was cryptic, you know, that's all I'm saying. And then I also typed in, what would it mean if they needed to investigate something that was male related? And what it says here, I thought was interesting because pretty much everything he says, if you wanted to tie it into something being about, you know, drugs, a gang, you know, mail as some sort of communication or delivery, right? So mail related could hint at a transfer gone wrong with a courier or smuggled content. Yeah, and that's what I'm wondering. Is it mail related or mail? Because I've always thought MAIL. Veronica says Steve also in interviews spoke about Xana was selling rugs. Remember, Steve also mentioned that some things were going to come out and told us not to believe it, is what Core says. Discord Dawn says, I had heard they sent Kaylee's necklace to them. Whoa. Who sent it to them? Guys, there's so much stuff back from the beginning. It's hard to keep it all straight. The other thing, too, about they can't say who was targeted, like, I do really agree with this from an operational secrecy standpoint. If this is about any investigation, whether it's governmental, criminal, or corporate, then withholding the target's name is classic compartmentalization. Only people who need to know are told so that the evidence isn't contaminated or leaked. Witnesses aren't tipped off. The investigation itself isn't compromised. Right? I mean, that makes sense. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to kind of go back through that. This stream obviously was one that was just completely put into the blender and then chewed up and spit out. So I hope everybody has a great rest of their night. I'm going to be back tomorrow evening with lots to share. I hope you all sleep great. Thank you for working with me through the glitches. It's so annoying. It's frustrating. But sometimes there's nothing we can do about it. Nonetheless, I hope you all have a great rest of your evening. Cheers, everybody.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life.